Hello and welcome to a Life in Digital Can Captures podcast special. I'm here with Chris Pettit from Revving, who's co-founder and CEO. Chris, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too, Ed.
Great
Brilliant
to
to
see you
be
in
here.
It's usually in London.
I know. Look at this. Living the dream on a Tuesday is fantastic.
And you've travelled in from Monaco this morning.
So I have. Look at that. Look at you, Nate Drive.
Not too
You've
shabby.
outed me there. No, staying with some friends there for the week, which is lovely, and getting to come back with some forwards to here. So no, having a fantastic time.
I don't know from lunch yesterday that you've been to Cannes lots, but in a former life and for the film festival.
Yeah, that's right. So I've spent best part of 25 years working in the film industry as a financier.
Yeah.
And so a lot of time down here. So know the lay of the land, but it's fascinating to see how it's different, how this is set up.
How is it different?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Very like big corporates.
Mm-hmm.
So the film industry, you see the studios here, but a lot of these big tech companies, I think there's much more presence here.
Mm-hmm.
And also just the way people are spending money and using like their ad budgets to the most effect. I think in the film industry, a lot of it was done, there are parties, etc. But I'm finding here much more close-knit gatherings, people having lunches and dinners, which I'm really enjoying. So no, it's been brilliant. It's great to be back. It's been a few years, and so I've missed it, but yeah, good to see the sun again.
Yeah, and how have you played? Have you tried to have meetings pre-scheduled, bump into people? What's been
it's a real mix. So I'm meeting customers and customers that we're currently onboarding.
Yeah.
So that's great, and also catching up with friends, as well as doing networking lunches, because I think half the battle, I've come down by myself this year, actually, just to get the lay of the land before we sort of come down en masse probably next year. And actually, it's really nice to understand where people are getting the most out of it. So for me, you mentioned serendipity. I mean, I think I've bumped into 5 people over the last 24 hours that I would never have met before, 3 of which are really interested in what we're doing. And so for me, I think that's the best thing about it. People are really open to talking. You get some really good connections, and some of the events that I've been invited to give me the benefit of that.
Yes, and for people who don't know Revving, it'd be great if you actually just briefly introduce the company and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Revving effectively collapses payment terms across the whole of the ad tech industry.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all hugely familiar with extended payment terms and the pain and suffering that causes. So we've built some technology that enables us to effectively view all of your ad invoices in real time. And that enables us to get you paid on those instantly, as opposed to waiting 60, 90, 120 days to get paid. So it's a technology business, but underpinned by a really large pool of capital. So helping oil the wheels and create what we feel is a much more streamlined and beneficial industry. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And what's your take on where ad tech's at and where publishers are at when you're speaking to them about what Revving do? What's your take on it?
I think what's really interesting is we've built, and I use this quote often, but we've built this rocket for like ad delivery, and we're hugely tech enabled, and everyone is focused on the quicker and better, but we're still stuck in this like analog environment for paying invoices. So it's like paying invoices by carrier pigeon versus the rocket for ad tech. And we're trying to bridge the gap between those two things and make payments a topic that people should be talking about and not scared of discussing. Because I think we're really caught up in the creativity and all of the things that are going on here, but actually the underpinnings of industry need to improve. And I think we're trying to rebuild some of that foundation, improve the liquidity. So for publishers, they really are at the end of the food chain. They're just fed up with waiting. And look, it's a constant gripe, but everyone's got used to the status quo. And so we've come in and decided, let's shake things up. Let's prove that with a bit of investment into this part of our industry, as opposed to what everyone else is doing, we can actually transform what's going on.
And when you're looking at publishers, is that of all shapes and sizes? So I think
it's really interesting. So we are advancing, 50 to 100 grand a month for some smaller publishers, all the way up to like 20 million a month.
Okay,
so it's like and I think that's what's really excited me. I came into the industry thinking we'd really help SMEs, because naturally you'd assume like, they've got the cash flow problem, it's the scale ups. But actually what I found is evening out the peaks and troughs of that delayed payment is beneficial to all businesses of all shapes and sizes. So really big companies who could really benefit from this solution are using us as well to enable them to then pay more quickly to their publishers or their customers, which again makes them look great. And also, the brands and advertisers are really happy with that as well, despite the fact that they're the ones paying late. But they're really happy with that because it means that, their reinvestment coming back in and the cycle starts again. So I think, that's what's really I think that's really excited me, is that everyone's embracing the problem, and they're looking to us to say, well, look, we're happy for you to be the market leader here. You tell us how we can help.
Are you supporting agencies too, who are also beholden to brands when they decide to pay?
Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting there is they are the squeezed middle at the top of the supply chain. So we often think who's last to be paid, like at the bottom, like the publishers, but actually at the top of the supply chain, you've got brands, you've obviously got agencies that want to spend money, media spend. They want to win more business, and to do that, they need to front that liquidity or that capital to buy media. Not many people want to do a prepay model. So to win those bigger customers, they need to find a way of not having to pay out on 30-day terms and wait 120 days to get paid, and therefore be right in the middle of that. And we've come in and said, look, here's some liquidity. You can win those customers. You can also free up that cash. Okay, there's a small cost of doing business, but actually the return on your investment, the scalability. So we found that those agencies who are working with it, embracing this, feel that they've got a real USP versus the rest of their competitors. So, and in fact, a few of the serendipitous meetings yesterday were with independent agencies, which were going,
the indies,
oh, okay, I can see where this could help us. And so, that's how we're helping those guys.
That's really cool. And away from your Revving hat, it's so cool because you can literally go and sit there anywhere, a bit like we can actually, which is always a nice place to be. What have you learned about? Anything interesting that you've heard about by way of themes, or have you managed to get to any panels?
Yeah, no, a lot of the chat here is around AI naturally. I think what's interesting to me is reading the pulse. Like, there's a lot of positivity, and I think that's what we need to, it's an amazing industry and we need to focus on that. But I think you've got to keep one eye on the fact that, and you'll see this at the coalface, that there are a lot of people who, whose jobs are being affected by what's going on. So I think that's the underlying theme. And what I've been saying to people is, well, maybe we can look at this, like if we can create new projects, right? So for me, if I can link cash flow to new projects, and if we can release cash that you're worried, say CFOs are worried about spending because, they're trying to find ways to cut budgets, then if we can free that capital up, then that means that you could potentially retain staff because there are new projects for them to work on. So I'm trying to think of it like, yes, there's a seismic shift going on, but actually if we sort of fix some of the underpinnings on it, maybe we can create that additional liquidity that could save jobs, that could find ways of them working in new areas. We could develop new opportunities. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of, things are changing, but actually let's look at what we've currently got and try and improve those like incremental pieces of it. And in doing so, hopefully that will enhance what we can achieve.
And change brings opportunity.
It does. I think so too.
It does. It's I know it's scary because there's the capability of AI, but it's actually about humans enhancing it. And I think of it as like amazing succession planning. If something you used to do is done on your behalf, then where can you go and put your time at a higher value?
Optimization. And I think that's across. So obviously agentic AI, and the way that I think there are lots of things we don't know, right? There's a lot of knee-jerk reaction, and I think that's always going to be the case. But I think actually if you can use it to its most impactful, and people can better understand what it can do. And we're now working with a couple of third-party AI businesses to look at ways we can optimize our business, we can improve. And I think that's, obviously that's the direction of travel, and it's going to keep there be a theme. Yes. But I think that's probably the thing that most people are probably chatting about at the moment. Hopefully in the next 2 days, they're going to be let it be a different conversation, and they'll be thinking about, okay, here are the new opportunities. These are the new cool things we can do. These are the new people we can work with. And then we can focus on that side of things.
It's very energizing for people.
I think so. That's the best part of being here.
It's very energizing.
Is getting everyone in one place and feeling that we're part of this big thing. And it's important, and it does some really interesting stuff. So I think that's really good.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining, Chris. It sounds like you had a great time. When are you off back?
Not back until Sunday. So okay. I'm going to do this to my maximum, and then have a couple of days relaxing after that, and catch up with friends. But this has been great. It's so lovely to see you. And thanks so much for all that you're doing. It's fair and giving me the opportunity to chat to everyone.
Our pleasure. Cheers, Chris.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate.
Bye.